Is this right? Or is this? After 12 grueling years of primary education, a bachelor's degree in science, 3 years of law school, and decades of professional legal practice, I finally found the answer. And yes, there is an answer. Today we're unrolling the surprisingly dramatic history of humanity's purest invention. That is, until it's used. The toilet paper roll. And what is the proper position that the toilet paper roll should be placed on the holder? Going over or under? We'll find out. I'm Kevin Keener, and this is History Invented. Most people don't think twice about toilet paper, at least not until a pandemic has half of America bare-knuckle fist-fighting in the grocery store parking lot for a single package of Angel Soft. However, just like electricity, drinkable water, and the wheel, toilet paper plays a vital, if not understated role in our everyday modern lives, at least where the United States is concerned. But we'll get to that later. Mass-produced toilet paper first became accessible in the mid-19th century. However, unfortunately for our pre-1800s ancestors, using the restroom is not, in fact, a new biological invention. Before Charmin Ultra Soft, people had to make do. Some tools that preceded the use of toilet paper include sponges attached to sticks, broken pieces of pottery, and, allegedly, even the Sears catalog. Evidence of actual paper being used as toilet paper dates back to 589 AD in China, but the West would be slower to catch on. In the horse and buggy days of colonial America, settlers sometimes used corn cobs or leaves, and as a child of the 80s who played endlessly in the woods, I can personally attest to that. Thankfully, the arrival of the printing press put an end to that nonsense, and soon people were wiping with more refined materials, such as newspapers and the Farmer's Almanac. In fact, the Farmer's Almanac was so popular with privy-goers that the company began pre-drilling holes in the upper left-hand corners of their books so that they could be nailed to outhouse walls for ease of access. I wonder if those early Americans argued about whether the almanac should be facing front cover out or back cover out. Though it may be well agreed upon that society did not start properly evolving until the birth of modern bumfodder, the exact date of the invention's creation is a bit complicated. Manufacturer G.W. Atkins & Company claims to have been the first in the bathroom biz, dating the use of their products to as early as 1870. But most verified sources crown Joseph Gaetti as the true paper pioneer. Gaetti's medicated paper for the water closet was patented in 1857. The paper was sold in flat packages, running prospective buyers 50 cents for 500 sheets. That's almost $10 in today's money, if you were curious. The sheets of paper were originally infused with aloe and designed to be anti-hemorrhoidal. As proof that you were getting the real deal, each sheet was stamped with Gaetti's initials. And as expected, people loved this new and marvelous invention. They took to the streets, holding parades in Mr. Gaetti's honor and celebrating the end of a truly dark and miserable era. Except they didn't. In fact, Joseph Gaetti was universally flamed for his medicated paper. Medical journals on both sides of the pond lambasted him, calling his claims of an anti-hemorrhoid hygiene product quackery. In an 1813 publication of The Lancet, a British peer-reviewed medical journal, one physician sarcastically declared that surgeons who take the rectal region under their care ought to know their occupation is now gone. All that is required is a simple piece of paper with the name Gaetti stamped on it, guaranteed both to prevent and cure the complaint. The Medical and Surgical Reporter, an American journal, joined in and teased that Mr. Gaetti intends to take advantage of the public by catching them with their breeches down and bring them to the stern necessity of buying his medicated paper for the water closet. And if being the butt of the joke wasn't enough, Gaetti would go on and lose the trademark rights to his own name in relation to toilet paper after a lengthy and somewhat convoluted legal battle in 1900. Later on, between the years of 1871 and 1891, New York inventor Seth Wheeler would go on to make his own version of toilet paper. This toilet paper, unlike Gaetti's, was a success, and thus became the predecessor to what is today a booming industry worth roughly $50 billion per year. But wait, Wheeler's product was almost identical in function to Gaetti's. How could Wheeler's invention succeed when Gaetti's failed? The answer likely boils down to a single difference in innovation, which can be found in Wheeler's official patent. In Wheeler's 1891 patent for the aptly named toilet paper roll, we see that Wheeler's invention, unlike Gaetti's, took the form of a perforated roll. And here, right here, we see that the toilet paper is wrapped over the roll. Over, not under. See? Proof that you've been doing it wrong and I've been doing it right, Susan. No further statements, Your Honor. This case is closed. We will not be accepting constructive criticism at this time. Your appeals are deemed moot. Sorry if it got a little heated there. Anyways, putting toilet paper on a roll might have been a small step for man, but it was a giant leap for toilet paper manufacturers. See, the thing about Gaetti's medicated paper was that it was sold in flat sheets. This meant there wasn't much of a difference between Gaetti's product and the perfectly good newspapers that people were already getting for free. Gaetti's toilet paper didn't even boast much of a quality improvement. After all, splinter-free toilet paper wasn't invented until the 1930s. So, keep that in mind the next time you're watching The Great Gatsby or Titanic. Wheeler's idea to put toilet paper on a roll was new. It was inventive. It offered novel frontiers to be explored by punk teenagers looking to stick it to their elderly neighbors. It broke new ground in the low-effort Halloween costume department. It gave house cats everywhere yet another thing in our homes to destroy. Despite his inventive success, Wheeler didn't immediately ride the success train into cultural notoriety. At the time, America was still fairly puritanical when it came to open discussion of bathroom habits, and most people weren't comfortable with freely discussing the purchase of toilet paper. People were so privy shy that they were even hesitant to say the words toilet paper out loud to their sales clerks. This was actually a selling point for brands seeking to push their wares, as evidenced by this slogan from the German paper company Hakel. Ask for a roll of Hakel, and you won't have to say toilet paper. Unfortunately for the Charmin Bears, it would be a few years before they could shamelessly express their love of toilet tissue on broadcast television. Since the invention of the toilet paper roll, toilet paper has been on, well, a roll. As previously mentioned, splinter-free toilet paper was patented in the 1930s. After that came multi-ply toilet paper in the 1940s, cosmetic and aromatic improvements in the 50s and 60s, and specific manufacturing processes to make toilet paper softer in 1973. How luxurious. Remember how I mentioned earlier that toilet paper plays a vital role in the United States? Well, that's not the case in some other countries. Book a flight to Spain, Italy, or Japan, and you'll probably find yourself on the business end of a bidet. A bidet utilizes a plumbed water supply to satisfy one's post-bathroom needs, and is used in addition to or in replacement of toilet paper. Bidets seem like an unnecessary European trend to some Americans, but they're far from a passing fad. About 80% of homes in Japan have bidets, and in Italy, it's illegal to have a home without one. According to Richard Smythe, the author of Bumfodder, An Absorbing History of Toilet Paper, a Muslim visitor to China remarked that the Chinese are not careful about cleanliness, and they do not wash themselves with water, but only wipe themselves with paper. And this was in the 9th century. So maybe our bathroom habits here in the US are a little bit more primitive than we'd like to believe. Bidets can come separate from the toilet, but the fanciest ones are built in. One example is the Totonyorist NX2, which is produced in Japan and can cost up to $22,000. Talk about a porcelain throne. Look, I'm just grateful that I don't have to worry about splinters in my toilet paper. Overall, I think it's safe to say that, while often taken for granted, toilet paper is an invention with a fascinating history. And thanks to Seth Wheeler's patent, we can now put to rest the debate over which way the roll should hang. It's over, guys, okay? It's over. That concludes our episode. And if you found this video new, useful, and non-obvious, be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content. And as always, feel free to drop any ideas for future episodes in the comments and let us know. Are you team TP or team bidet? Thanks for watching, and that's a wrap. Personal story, long story. Out in the woods in the 80s, miles from home, riding my bike, nature called. No way to get home in time. When you're in a pinch, you sit up against a tree, you find the nearest leaves, and you make do. Just watch out for rashes.